What's going on, everyone? Caught you raw. Peace to you. I have a new video I'm gonna make. Just want to talk about the Lybrinth in your mind. If you have not already, you know, you can go to my YouTube, my Facebook page. I have a lot of stuff here, and like I said, my YouTube as well. All right, so we are going to talk about follow up with our another Hellraiser series. This was I made this 6 days ago. Then I made a video and I posted it up. I noticed there was some of the images missing. So these are the images right here I could not get due to the overlay settings on streaming. So I just have to be clever and try to copy it down where the time scale is. Take a screenshot and get very low resolution images, but it still shows what I'm trying to show. So right here, all these are low resolution images, but it still basically shows what I was trying to describe. You know, you got the green cup right next to the cube. I was talking about how the cube represents, being trapped in consciousness. It can be also talking about the Metatron cube. And I'm going to try to bring up Enoch as well. And the pages of the Wisdom of Enoch. So I have a lot of stuff up here I have pre-saved about aliens, Atlantis, and Ascension, uh, Enoch turning into Metatron, or basically he turned to his light body self once he became enlightened, and then he became a co-owner of his own cubes, or he became a star or angelic being, you could say. He became lesser Yahweh, and according to the second Enoch. But starship beings, or you could say he got abducted. And yeah, so let's go ahead and let's pull up this right here. And all this basically gonna go aside with Hellraiser 2. I got some images here about Hellraiser 2 who I want to go over. It's talking about Hellraiser 1, but the same thing with the cubes, uh, rings of Saturn, cube makers. All this stuff goes hand in hand as well. And I did this right here, the 12 Tribes Israel. 12 Tribes Israel, and then the hidden star, which would be the 13th tribe, which is not spoken of. That will be the hidden tribe, or the new family within the star constellation of the chosen ones. Star family, basically. And since I talk about Lybrinth, when I place these numbers in here myself, when I was starting, I basically put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 going this way, like a clock. Then you ran out of space. Then I was like, I bet this equals out. This looks like this is a maze. Because if you go this route, 13 minus 12 will be 1. 13 minus 11 will be 2. 13 minus 10 will be 3. And so forth. So that's how you would figure out the cube. It's a mathematical geometry equation. You're going through this cube to find out, just trying to, when you look at these geometric shapes, it's all have advanced numeral, and it's all advanced shapes. And all these shapes are differently. I know this right now. This is just a basic form that we use because it shows a triangle going up and down. And you get the star, so-called star of Israel, or you call it Ishtar, Israel, or Ra, or Isis Ra El. And that's why it's a country that was created, not actually formed. We're not gonna get into that part, but I just want to just talk about how this is a maze by itself, and it's all advanced numbers, code, the advanced code, 144 code. Let me see. The 144 code actually equals out to these stars. And within the movie Hellraiser, it showed these shapes. It showed this forming into a spear, which would mean this would be the spear in the movie. The square will be down here at the very bottom, which will be your root chakra. So that's why they always come at you, the symbiotes. They say, "What is your desire?" Because the root is they're looking for your root of your desire. And then you travel up to the mind, because basically part two really sort of dealt with the mind, and what occurs when you're inside. It's really dealing with the mind. So that's why I got the cube right here on your face, because this is your illusion. You got the cube right in your face. Let me see if I can zoom in just a tad bit. So you got the zoom, yeah, there we go. So they got the cube right in your face, and then they got the stone, the mind stone. So the mind stone, so right here, this is when the cube got turned into a stone. This will be the mind stone. And then it pushes out light, but it's black light. This will be the black sun, basically, or melanin, you could say. It'll be the hidden light of your true, of what's being shown to you, because this is your pineal gland, and deep inside your pineal gland will reveal the true nature. So when they say what is your desires, you're going through this whole maze of within your own mind, trying to find the truth about who you really are. So, also you can say this is a journey through a Monty, through the whole death process. Once you die, your spirit goes through his whole walk through the maze of your own mind to see your past, your present, your future, or you figure out yourself, who you truly are. Then once you get to the middle, we have a battle, this big battle, and typically, probably they show in the old literature there's a minotaur, but in this case, you can say in the middle you'll meet yourself, basically, and you do battle with yourself. And that was also shown in the Bible as well. With I got let me see if I can find it. Find it where excuse me. Let's see who was that. Who was that had the battle with the angel? I forgot the name. Who fought the angel? Hold up. Let me be more specific. Yeah, Jacob wrestled with the angel. That's right. Yeah, so Jacob wrestled with the angel, and then Jacob. And let me get that whole Bible verse because it basically talks about your pineal gland, talking about going through the mind of your own. You know, here, let me just read it. And the angel of the Lord encamp all around those who fear him and delivers them. Let me make sure this is the right one. And even when you read these stories, you got to look at the numbers because the numbers are always foretelling something. So all this stuff is very, metaphoric. That's not what I'm looking for. Let me just type it in. Okay, here we go. Okay, so here we go. So Jacob was left alone, and there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of the day. And when he saw that he prevailed not against him, he touched the hollow of his thigh, and the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint. As he wrestled with him, and he said, Let me go, for the day breaketh. And he said, I will not let thee go, except thou bless me. And he said unto him, What is thy name? And he said, Jacob. And he said, Thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince hast thou power with God and with man, and hast prevailed. And Jacob asked him, and said, Tell me, I pray thee, thy name. And he said, Wherefore is that thou doest ask after me name? And he blessed him there, and Jacob called the place of the name of the place Peniel. Peniel. For I have seen the God's face to face, and my life is preserved. So he's seen a, so he wrestled. This is like a story you're saying you're wrestling in the middle of the pit right here. So you're traveling through your own mind, trying to figure things out. You go into a deep sleep state, wrestling with your thoughts, laws and transgression. Then you hit the middle point. You see this bright, shiny light. You can say, and then this black light hits you, which is your pineal gland, which will show you the truth outside, because everything else is an illusion. But this black light will show you the veil, will show you the light beyond the illusion. And then you start to wrestle. Then you see there's a minotaur or a big obstacle in the middle that is trying to stop you from advancing if you allow it to. Yeah, so pineal, the mind, and all this is in the Bible. Everything, basically, like I said, the Bible is a book of, it's a scientific book. You have to look at it as well, basically just a cultic book. You only know what, unless you actually read and study outside of just the Bible. You just can't read the Bible by itself, or you won't understand on this. You have to go outside and get other books to break this down and to add more add more clarity. So when I spoke to, I showed this to a Hebrew Israelite before. I said, they said, show me where pineal gland is in the Bible. I showed them this right here. They said that doesn't say pineal. This penal, penile, or however they want to pronounce it. But regardless, it's not how you write it, it's how it's formed, it's how it's wordplay. So it's all wordplay. We're gonna get into that part right there later. Let me go back to here. So in Greek mythology, because you got to use Greek mythology because the New Testament is Greek. And this is a mind maze. Your mind look like a big maze in a way. All right, this will be the top, your pineal gland, or not pineal gland, but your crown, top of your head. You anoint your top of your head with oil, with goodness. But all this chaos goes all around you. But notice these two females here too. That's another thing. Well, sorry, not two females. This one is a guy, one's a girl. But in old Greek drawings, they drew everything. Females look like men. For some reason, they didn't want females to get any glory. That's why the Mona Lisa looked like a male instead of a female. They had that weird thing where they just want to suppress women. But anyway, in the Greek mythology, King Minos of Crete defeated King Agus of Athens and threatened to destroy his country unless every 9 years he sacrificed 7 boys and 7 girls to a minotaur. And they used the number 7, which is a, and then they used the number 9. So every 9 years, which is a completion of a cycle, they want to sacrifice 7 boys, 7 girls, which is a spiritual number. So you're looking at this as you're going through a cycle. Once again, in your mind you go through the cycle, and you want to, and you sacrifice your spirit to, masculine and feminine, the whole body and spirit. Um, every time you go through this cycle, your spirit, you spiritually are trying to break out. Basically, what I'm trying to say, you spiritually trying to break out and find what's holding you back. And there's this monster right in the middle. Like I said, you can look at the monster as yourself. So that Minotaur. Um, so how the story goes is King Agag's son, uh, Theseus, 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 he decided to go to the labyrinth. Now, on his way, he met a young girl. He met Midas' daughter named Ariana. I'm sorry, Ariana, who fell in love with him and promised to help him find his way out. So now in the movie Hellraiser, we had two females going through the labyrinth, and the young woman and the young girl who was really good at puzzles, who her mind was special. You know, she helped her get out, but at the very end, yeah, they basically help each other. And what they did was they used a string to find a way back out if they get lost. Now it's right here. She gave she gave him a sword. Adriana gave Theseus a sword and a ball of thread, and told him to fasten it one end of the thread at the labyrinth entrance and unravel the spool behind him as he walked through to find the Minotaur. So you basically, when you're traveling deep inside your mind, you don't want to get lost. You want to find your way out as you're trying to solve the problem of what's going down deep within. And there's a Minotaur right there, that you're gonna find. The basically the issue, but you want to make sure you don't get lost in thoughts. This sort of reminds me of the silver cord. Silver cord. So you spiritual cord, you have a spiritual silver cord. Notice how this is on top of their mind, their brain, silver cord, pineal gland. And there was another image before with Jay-Z, and there's a Hollywood woman who does a lot of their crafting. They did this like little hair tingle. I'm not sure if I can find it, but it basically, if you know what I'm talking about, you know the image of Jay-Z and this Hollywood, who so-called witch. They was doing some the brain transferring with the hair cords, the silver cord, basically. Now, sometimes they show the silver cord coming through your belly button, or or like I said, you can go through your mind as well. And you go through the labyrinth. You travel down into the labyrinth until you reach a certain point. Fear will bring you back out, put you back into the box. But if you solve it, you're free. You're free, and then you became spiritual enlightened. Then you get this big, huge glow about you. She turned blue, by the way. And speaking of blue, he turned blue. He turned blue. He became this different version of himself, more powerful. But he became what he wanted to become. He became the more of the monster inside of him that came out. So that human form he's seen was just a fake illusion. This is truly what he wanted to be. This guy right here. And of course, they got all the mathematical equation of ascension. All these movies love to use Egyptian hieroglyphs to make you just think, oh, they're into something demonic or whatnot. But that's just how Hollywood downplays a lot of our tablets that's rolling stone. And I don't even like to call it ancient because if they're ancient, we're still learning from them. So it's not really ancient if you're learning from them. You still learn from these things, so they're not ancient. But here's what time frame am I on? This thing does not show me how long I'm been recording. All right, yeah, been recording for 26 minutes. For some reason, my timer keeps disappearing. So I was trying to make this short, but it looks like I'm not. All right, let's go ahead and continue. I'm trying to do this under 30 minutes. I'm at 27 minutes now already. So you got the Labyrinth Pit, the through the mind. Here's another example because in this movie, I call it Heart of Confusion because she going through her own. The little girl was going through her own mind journey, trying to figure out why her mom didn't understand her. And she ran down through of course, a amusement park with clowns, because clowns are the number one thing that the Illuminati cards show. That shows like confusion or chaos. So you got that going on. She running through, got the red eye, of course, but you got green. So notice something also. I'm gonna show you, keep showing you here. The green is always somewhere. So green's right here next to the cube, telling you through the heart is the way out. Your is through the heart. That's why I had to put this right here. Even this right here, you see green in the background because she's looking for her mom and to find out answers. And you have a lot of green in the background. So she was running through the chaoticness of the entrance of the clowns and to the mirror around, which is the reflection. Mirrors are gateways. You see our reflection. So she was basically looking at as her mom. Well, what's wrong with her? But she basically, it's not the point of what happened in the movie. It's the point of, if you want to know what happened, you just watch the movie. I mean, it's a pretty old movie. Probably always seen it. But my main thing is I just want to show you how the symbolism are in this movie. As you get the right and left gate gateway opening. You know, they always emphasize one way you go through the pillars one way, you go up. So one door is death, you go up through the pillars to get rebirth, and then you come out as a new being. That's what the whole symbolism of the pillars for the Masons means. Then I always like to say Triforce, the Triforce because it's in threes. Everything's are in threes. You know, the Father, Son, Holy Ghost type of thing. Israel. You see, and then you could be like Gene, Gnosis, the genes of Isis, genes of Isis or Genesis type of thing. This image right here is basically because you know she was going through, like I said, a heart of confusion because basically she was raised up as see no evil, hear no evil type of thing, where she's seeing so much bad things she could not speak out. She didn't know how to speak out and really tell nobody. So she didn't know how to portray, you know, what she was feeling. And her mom thought that something was wrong with her. So she took her to that shrink. But you know, that's just getting into the whole movie aspect. But understanding what this maze is within the mind, she had to go through her own little trial, and she had to see this child with her with the lipstick, with the lips closed. And finally, within the whole movie, near the end, she actually opened up or said something. Only word she really said was the S word. Was like, you know, she had to, but she didn't really say anything meaningful. She just said one word, one line throughout the whole movie. Was sugar honey iced tea. That's all she said. But this is right here, right here. This image is important because when you talk about the cubes, when you talk about this type of stuff right here, you got to look at. Now, this is where we're going to get into the fun stuff. The aliens agenda, quote unquote, Atlantis and Ascension, where we get into the whole. We, we actually have paintings of alien ships, cube ships, spirit ships in the sky, which will look like this. And we would say, you know, that's our flying pineal gland or someone in their macabre. And I would say this too, because I had as a kid, I remember having a dream going through a maze, or maybe it was not a maze, not a dream, but before in the spirit. I remember going through a maze, maybe in a spirit body, going through a maze until I got inside the middle, where there you have to face yourself or look at yourself and be like, okay, that's where you do battle with your ego. And then you see the face of God, which, by the way, no one's seen the face of God, right? Which, but he said, you cannot see my face, for no one has seen me and live. The glory of God, the glory of the Lord, I will cause all my goodness to pass through you. The Lord replied, and I will proclaim my name, the Lord, in your presence. I will have mercy on whom I have mercy, and I will have compassion on whom I have compassion. But you cannot see my face, for no one have seen me and lived. There is a place near me where you can stand upon a rock. Now, all this, like I said, all this is, Exodus. It's talking about the maze, the mind, exiting the mind. We exit out of us, exo. Exit, and you're exiting out of the mind. And it speaks about a rock, which will be the mind stone. And where was I? Okay, here we go. I will put you in a cleft of the rock and cover you with my hand until I have passed by. So, and then I will take my hand away, and you will see my back, and my face must not be, but my face must not be seen. So when you read this, you probably actually, if you're just reading it from face value, you're gonna be so tiny that that you're gonna be picked up, carried, laid down, and then God's gonna turn his back. So he's not gonna actually face you. He always gonna turn your back on you. So so you won't see his face. Because if you see his face, you'll wake up from the illusion. This is what this is basically. They call this Leviathan because you're going down. Leviathan is like a dragon. You're going down deeper than the water, which is the soul. So, let's talk about Seth and Horus. And they're always facing away from each other, back to back. But they're always at war with each other. But they look at each other. They be like, "Oh, they can awaken this man. They can awaken you to a sin." This is like another pineal gland shape, pine cone shape, or you say spear. Once you actually once they look at each other. No, let's say this is Moses, this is God, and they look at each other. You woke up at the burning bush, basically. The silver cord. Okay, here we go. So, yeah, and the more you read this type of stuff, you be like, man, it's really talk about the spirit of the mind. Egypt will represent. Egypt always been like the place where you point to. They use these stories in the Bible. You always mention Egypt, by the way. And when you look at Egypt, you be like, well, and then you see all of the worship of Hollywood. It comes from Egypt. The stories that be coming from Egypt, so-called Egypt, the Egypt that they show, which I like to say America's Egypt. Then you can understand that all this is basically talking about deeper parts of the mind. That's why Exodus is talking about exiting out of the mind, or Moses get to the point where he splits the water in two. And that's talking about the mind as well. And this all this ties in with the movie, this Hellraiser movie. You're going down within, you going deep to the roots, and you're splitting the ocean to the Mind Stone. Now, later on, later on, as they continue uh, through the maze, once they meet Labyrinth, you know, like Leviathan hit them with that black light, and they went through their own personal journey within the true purpose of why they're there, and they found their answers. They were free, but they decided to go back into a cube shape. So the spear shape means you're free, but the cube shape means you're trapped. So she turned this back into a cube. Chakras in 2D are flat. Chakras in 3D are stellar. So you got, so there she put the cube back into a, to basically closed a closed state. So now you have to actually look at this like, okay, she's seen her answer, but they had to close it. And once they did that, you can tell the guy, basically the guy who let me go back to my pictures. This guy, at that point in the movie, he was open to, because the pineal gland was free. He was free. She turned that cube back, then his mouth was closed and he got ripped apart. So that kind of like, when that happened, I was looking at that like, okay, I can put those two things together. It's like, well, when your mind is open, you're more powerful. But once that fear kicks in, and puts you back into a cube, your mind is closed. So even though he didn't do it, I was looking at that like, it's quite powerful. You can look at that in a sense, you know, and play around with that thought. Now, top of Saturn is a hexagram. Top of Saturn, this hexagram is the cube that you see. Even on top of, even sort of like, you can look at Jupiter as well, the red star Jupiter. I'm sorry, the red dot of Jupiter. You can see that's the same thing too. All of the big gas giants have something like this, similar, very similar. So Saturn is trapped in its own little cube box right now because you got the ice rings, the ice device that was built. The ring makers of Saturn built this ice device to to basically suck the energy out of this star. I do have that book, The Ring Makers of Saturn. So we got we got this right here, which is a pretty good book. Read, not a book, but it's a pretty good read. Right here, they are wild waves of the sea, forming of their shame, wandering stars, for whom blackest, darkest has been reserved forever. And they talk about punishing the stars for being disobedient, for going their own separate ways. These 7 stars, right? Which would be 7 chakras. They're talking about your spiritual body, because what you see up above is basically what you have inside of you. Enoch, the 7th from Adam. Notice they use the word 7 again. Enoch is the 7th from Adam. He prophesies about these men. See, the Lord is coming with thousand upon thousand of his holy ones. And speaking of, since we're talking about this, the whole animals that Adam named are the stars, because every star is a actual animal name. Let's see, astrology. Let's see, it's not the right one. All right, so I try to keep it in the terms of Greek astrology. So these would be the planets that Adam named, and that's why they're we call them the beasts. Adam named all the beasts of the field. He was talking about this. They was talking about the stars, of the field of stars, and that's why the entire Bible is a cycle. He talks about the cycle. Got the Aquarius, Jesus age right here. You have the Adam sacrificial age. You got the age of Judah, the blessing of a child who will judge the nation and sting those who are un, and sting those who are basically want to point the finger. But there will be truth in the light within some of the prophets. Some of the prophets came through Sagittarius season, and in the age of Capricorn, where we had to hide some of the, we had to go deep down. We had to go deep into a certain part. Saturn, this is the Saturn. So Jupiter and Saturn fighting each other, basically. Where there was a bit of truth coming out, and then we had to basically make it hard to where you had to find truth. And this in itself is the 12 tribes, and this is the cycle. Right in the middle will be the 13. And this is the actual image of the cube, top of the cube. If I can find an image of the cube. Same thing right here. This is the same image. And what else we have here? I guess I went 50 minutes on this, so thank you for watching if you stayed this long. So the electron is pure spirit of the light of God. It remains forever uncontaminated and perfect. The Elohims, the many Elohims, said, "Let us make man in our image," because we are light body beings. Then we harden, we crystallize into hardened structures. And we fell down into earth and became dirty. And that would basically be the whole sin aspect, because we we became upon the earth, or this illusion. We got trapped in the cube, or this vortex. The number of electrons will combine with each other in a specific atom, or atom, and determined by consciousness thoughts, and the rate at which they twirl and around the central core is the result of and determined by feeling. The intensity of the drawing and whirling motion within the center core is the breath of God, and therefore the most concentrated activity of divine love. All right, so the whole breath of God, and y'all can, you see this violet light and purity. This is another thing. Stone, the water, water, stone, electrical current. All this basically plays out once you think about Leviathan, because Leviathan is the underwater dragon, deep, deep, deep hidden. That's why Atlantis had to go down under, because wisdom had to be buried underneath. We had to go searching for it, because wisdom was free at first, but once you are given so much wisdom, people will ignore it at some point. So that's why Atlantis had to be sunken, or they said wisdom had to be sunken. Another thing you can look at is that I have another book somewhere up here where it talks about. I'm gonna go ahead and end this video here. It talks about Shekinah going down to the deepest water, and Shekinah will be like Atlantis being sucking down into water. Then we had to be like fishers of man, go down deep and get the knowledge. I really didn't want to make this video too long, because I want to make sure people actually watch the whole thing. I know most of you don't like to watch too long videos, but if you did watch the whole thing, it's great. I may have to just, I want to read through this, and this looks quite interesting. I just found this. I just found this today while searching. This is quite interesting. Uh, yeah. So this is the tree of life. I love it. But yeah, this is how we exit from the labyrinth pit. This whole game. Notice how also right in the middle, like I was saying, it was like the spinning wheel of Ezekiel wheel. Ezekiel wheel is another thing too that goes right along with this too. Ezekiel wheel. Oh yeah, so that's something else. Let me go ahead and talk about that too. All right, so in Star Trek there was this group of beings who look just like those in the movie Hellraiser. They always show them with white skin, but black clothing, the whole duality type of thing. And notice the green always showing some type of green. Notice how they always showing some type of green. This image was supposed to have been taken outside somewhere. But I do look outside. I do try to find some things that I'm trying to find some images myself, some imagery that I could take a picture of, so I can show that hey, I seen this. But I haven't really seen too much activity. I haven't really seen anything here. I need to go out in the country, deep in the country, then just stargaze, see if I can find anything weird. But yeah, flying cube ships. Here we go. And that, and someone said I'm not sure if you want to say these are real or not, but it's pretty cool that they're here. I mean, I have a book, I have an Amazon Kindle I can go to right now and show you different shapes of books, different shapes of UFOs. But yeah, this is once you gain your ascension, you turn blue, which is quite awesome if you think about it. You get this, you turn into this electrical body of light. But yeah, and here is one last thing: the spear UFOs. Now the spears. Let me see. I may not find anything like that here, but I guess I need to call it shape-shifting UFO. Let's see, shape-shifting. Well, I'm not sure if I'm gonna find one, but I seen this before. It was some type of weird light going around, but it's a spear, the spirit light going around. Here's one. It was like a Merkaba, actual star shape falling down. I seen something like this before too. But yeah, this really, to me, this whole movie was talking about breaking down the inner layers of your mind. Talk about the inner layers of your mind and then breaking it apart. And then once you go inside your mind, you can see the true nature of who you are, what you want, what you desire, and then hopefully that transforms you into something that you want to be. He got transformed to what he wanted. The protagonist of this movie wanted to try to save her dad, but he was he was gone into apparently his own version of hell, which is another thing too. This whole thing about you'll go into your mind when you die. They say you want to make sure you have good thoughts in your mind, or you can trap yourself into your own version of hell. And basically, at the very end of this movie, that's what the protagonist was letting Pinhead and other symbiotes know that you've forgotten who you were. You're trapped. You're not who the beings are. You're not who you are. You're trapped. You got to get out. So so they say Metatron's a demon or a daemon. So it's not that it's a demon. It's basically supposed to help you figure yourself out. You're supposed to travel. You'll travel. You'll go through this whole cycle at some point, and then you'll finally get to the middle where you can then make that choice to leave to leave or not. You'll go through it again. So it's not a demon, but demons basically is to teach you a lesson. So you go through this whole cycle, go around, go up. You got this whole little flow. You go through this whole cycle, and then at some point your spirit is ready to get out. Then you go through this whole activation. You go up. So once the energy flows around you, when you practice your spiritual, when you walk day by day, you have this flow about you. But when it's your time to leave the body, that's when you shoot up in the middle. And this is where your final test is with the Minotaur or that Leviathan cube. The final test will shine the black light on you, which is the veil in between the veil of Isis, so the veil of the illusion. Then you have your little trial, your own trial. Now you could hold a key to it. You can leave it open. You can leave your pineal gland open, the power to see through the veil, or you can close it back and put it to a cube. And she closed it back and put it into a cube. So trying to find that image, but I showed you already. She closed it back, went to it, and she placed it back into a cube. So yeah, this is a pretty good. I think this is a pretty good breakdown. I really can't say nothing too much more. There is more, but I just don't want to make it too long. I just don't want to make this so long, but yeah, pretty much it. Like I said, I got a lot of little books and tons of things I can go through. All this stuff over here are books and articles that I saved. Got Brother Panic stuff too, but yeah, I got a lot of things I can go through. But I'll save some of this stuff for another day. All right, all right, y'all caught your run, And I didn't even get a chance to get into the aliens part of this really too much. The way I want it. Yep. So this is great right here. The biologically of belief. I can't talk. The biological, the biological of belief. Unleash the power of your conscious mind and miracles. I'm about to give me some coffee. I'm falling asleep. Need me some. This music's relaxing. So yeah, this I like to read with this music. It's very relaxing, but it can be too relaxing. But yeah, you see, you got the mind, the ripple effect, the water effect. All right, same thing. I think you got it now. I think we got it. Cool. Caught you raw. Thanks for listening.